Hi, and welcome to Open, the show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world to you. I'm Jonathan Calixto, and today we'll update you on what's happening in and around our borough. Coming up, the executive director for the New York Center for Children shares with us how they provide trauma-focused therapy services to victims of child abuse and their families. Then the founder and executive director of the Uptown and Boogie Healthy Project tells us how they are focused on improving access to fresh, locally grown food in our communities. After that, we look back at an interview with the executive director of Eastside House to learn more about their efforts. And finally, the CEO of Sledge House Media tells us more about their latest book, A Day at Shea. So stay tuned, all this and much more is headed your way because we're now officially open. Hello everyone, I'm Jonathan Calixto and today is Tuesday, April 22nd. You are now watching Open, a program that brings the Bronx and New York City straight to you. Don't forget to stay connected with us via social media at BronxNet TV. For 29 years, the New York Center for Children has provided trauma-focused therapy services to victims of child abuse and their families free of charge for as long as their healing requires. They are also a leader in training programs on the diagnosis, treatment, and prevention of child abuse, attended by professionals and graduate-level medical psychology and social work students. Please join me in welcoming the Executive Director of the New York Center for Children, Christine Crowther. Christine, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Jonathan.
Yeah, thank you so much. Obviously, a very important month when we're talking about child abuse and its prevention as well. But let's start off. Tell me a little bit more about the organization.
Okay, the New York Center for Children is a center for children who've been abused, and we provide trauma-focused therapy completely free of charge for as long as necessary to children from all 5 boroughs of New York City. We provide services to children as young as 3 and all the way up to young adult, 22 or 23, and we work holistically with the children and their families to help them heal and thrive.
Wow, very important work. And of course, when we hear about the numbers of child abuse here in New York, I mean, it's incredibly shocking. There is a report that estimates 50,000 reports of child abuse that are filed each year.
That is
Talk
true.
to me about the impact that those numbers have on our community.
Yes, well, child abuse and adverse childhood experiences really have a negative and long-lasting impact on children, and that lasts through their lifetime if not addressed. So a lot of the problems will become mental health problems, physical health problems, and even like shortened lifespan due to these negative experiences in childhood. So if children are able to get help when they're young, they can address the issues and learn healthy coping mechanisms and learn to do well in school and in life. And so it really makes a difference to get help as a child. It's always good to get help even as an adult, of course, but the sooner you can start receiving support and therapy, the better.
Yeah, you talk about obviously that important key right there of that support, you know, listening to what is happening and going on. Talk to me, obviously the organization has served this community now for almost close to 30 years. Why is it important that our community actually listens to these numbers as well? What can that kind of, in the long run, kind of provide?
Yes, well, we are celebrating our 30th anniversary this year, so we're proud of that. And yes, you know, it's just very important to be aware that child abuse is a issue for our communities and, you know, the whole country and the whole world, in fact, but especially in New York City, the more we are aware of it, the more we can help these families and these children get services, the better.
Yeah. Now, of course, April is Child Abuse Prevention Month. Talk to me a little bit about, you know, obviously how this month kind of plays into sharing these resources and getting the word out there.
Yes. So for Child Abuse Prevention Month, communities throughout the country come together to raise awareness about child abuse, just about the prevalence and what can be done, and learning about signs and symptoms, and helping support organizations that provide services to children who've been abused. So it's just an awareness raising period month, And it's also a time to get involved and focus our attention on child abuse as an issue.
Yeah, now of course, when you even say there, like, be able to kind of diagnose these signs, these
Yes.
symptoms,
Yes.
what are some of those signs that obviously our parents, caregivers, children can also look out for?
Yes, well, there are many symptoms because there are many kinds of abuse, and so we sort of talk about physical indicators of child abuse and then behavioral indicators of child abuse. And so some of the physical indicators of child abuse, and it would depend on the kind of abuse, but for physical abuse, it's things like unexplained bruises or burns or welts or, physical signs like on a face or on other parts of the body. And for neglect, it would be, which many cases of abuse are neglect. It's children who are not bathed properly or are not wearing the right clothes for the right weather, so are not the right size clothes. And so it's a number of things. Not sometimes children who are overly hungry or underweight, that could be a sign of neglect as well. And those are all things you can observe visually. Then there are behavioral indicators, which are more like the child changes in their patterns, such as they start having nightmares, or they start having change in appetite, or changing the way they behave, becoming more withdrawn or frightened of adults, frightened of going home, things like that. And sometimes, a lot of the children we provide service to have been sexually abused, so sometimes it's a sign of that would be that they know a lot about sexual, advanced for their age, about sexual behaviors. And
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, with some of the kind of signs that you are talking about, something that the organization does is provide this recovery aspect,
Yes.
This long-term healing option for them as well. When we talk about recovery, though, what is the biggest challenges that you are seeing from children after they face these types of abuse?
Well, I mean, I think at our center and with other organizations that work with children, we learn to engage the children and build a rapport, and we engage them with a lot of play therapy and make it very comfortable and welcoming, so that we reduce the barriers to getting the help. So we don't, we take time to build the relationship with the child and to make the child feel comfortable, and so they can use games and toys to express themselves, and that will help them work with the therapist to provide the therapy that will help them heal.
Yeah, one of the options that I saw on the website is this trauma-focused therapy.
Yes.
How does that kind of work and differ from other options as well?
Okay, well, so trauma-focused therapy is so that we can really focus on what has happened to the child, as opposed to just sort of being open-ended without any clear goal. The child may not want to him or herself bring up what happened to them. Like if left to their own, they may not want to talk about it. So we do introduce it, but in a very supportive way, and we work with the child on it and talk about the trauma that's happened to them. And in fact, during the course of therapy, they work on something called the trauma narrative, which is not at the beginning, but after they built a rapport, they can either write or draw a picture, which will sort of explain just privately to them and their therapist about the trauma, so that they're able to get it out. And so the whole point of therapy is to process the trauma that they've experienced, and then after a period of could be a year or 2 years or somewhere in between, their symptoms will start improving, and then they will be ready to end therapy.
Wow. Now, of course, with that work, something that I did see in the annual report, this was in the 2023 annual report,
Yes.
that I found interesting was
Yes.
that obviously, aside from the mission of helping these children and providing them with the resources that they need,
Yes.
you also train 100 medical students
Yes.
and residents
Yes.
to gain skills in diagnosing and treating child abuse.
Yes.
How is that aspect important in kind of ending child abuse and just providing another resource for them?
Yes, well, we definitely strongly believe in education, and so we train medical students, psychology students, social work students, and then individuals working throughout the communities with children, such as teachers, social workers, guidance counselors, camp counselors, anyone who's working with children. We teach them about generally recognizing signs and symptoms, what to do when you are concerned there might be a case of child abuse, and in the case of medical students and residents, it's like the very specific signs and symptoms medically, and how to examine a child, and what to do, how to report child abuse. Those are the things that we train on. And the importance of getting help for these children. So the more people, especially professionals working with children that are aware of what to do when they see child abuse, the better, because sometimes I think people are not sure what to do and are somewhat frightened about the repercussions of reporting or the repercussions of getting involved. And sometimes people feel it may be a personal matter, and it's important for individuals, especially professionals, to be able to respond appropriately when they are concerned about child abuse.
Yeah, that's one thing that I was kind of just impressed with, is that you're training these experts to be well familiar with the signs, the symptoms, and how to speak to it when it comes to these families and children who are facing it. Now, something else that you mentioned earlier is that the organization does serve children from across all 5 boroughs. Serving a large population, how do you ensure that children have access to these vital services as well?
Yes, well, we are accessible. Most of the children families come to our center, which is on the Upper East Side, but we're accessible to children from all 5 boroughs, which we're, accessible by the subway or the bus or driving. And we try to be very accommodating in terms of making our appointments available. And as I said, there's no charge to attend. The services are free, made possible by our supporters and by grants. And additionally, we assist the families sometimes if they are low income and don't have enough extra funds to get there. We'll provide them with subway, Metro cards, and things like that to assist. And we also have a snack with the child after their therapy session. And then we also have lots of special events for the children to help make them feel welcome with other children, such as a big holiday party. And then we also provide tutoring by volunteers to the children after their therapy session. Not all of the children receive tutoring, but we have that component as an extra added benefit for some of the children and families who need that extra help.
Yeah, of course. So you are sharing so many kind of resources that parents and families can take advantage of to address this issue. For parents and caregivers who may be watching and are hesitant about how to respond to something like this, what would you let them know?
Well, they should reach out, and we would be happy to answer any questions they have and to help them walk them through the process. And if they could reach out to us or other organizations in the city, and if we're not the right organization for them, we can direct them to the right organization. But definitely reach out, and they can go on our website to learn more about our services. They can email us, call us, and we'll definitely want to engage them and help them understand the process. And I think, I would say 99% of the families really appreciate the help that we are providing to them, and it will only be a benefit for them and their child, and I think that's what most parents want.
Yeah. Now, of course, with that, Christine, thank you again for sharing so many resources with us and just more information about the organization and the work that you do. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Now, of course, for our viewers, if you would like to learn more about their services, please visit their website at newyorkcenterforchildren.org. Don't go away. We'll be back with more Open after this.
We're gonna start the show right now. This is my favorite part. Ready in 5, 4, 3, 2. Hey, this is Angel, and I am one of the instructors for the in-studio production. Here at BronxNet, we offer classes that can help you elevate, expand, and start your television career. All you have to do is sign up at BronxNet.org/education. For the past 7 years, I have been in various productions, spanning from talk shows, independent films, news reports, art displays, teachings, musical performances, and many more. Ain't that right, Angel? Yeah, you're absolutely right, Angel. There are a lot of creative individuals that we're just waiting to sign up for the class. And if I may, can I also express Thank you, Angel. That's all the time we have left. Visit BronxNet.org/education and become a producer by taking the course. The class I offer is also in English, en español y también bilingüe. Nos vemos en la próxima clase.
Welcome back. The Uptown and Boogie Healthy Project is a nonprofit organization focused on improving access to fresh, locally grown food in underserved neighborhoods, particularly in the Harlem and the Bronx. Their mission includes empowering vulnerable communities with nutrition education, promoting healthy lifestyles, and fostering food security. Here with me in the studio is Judi Desiree, the founder and executive director of the Uptown and Boogie Healthy Project. Judi, welcome to BronxNet, to Open Tuesday.
Yes, I appreciate you. Thank you for inviting me again.
Yeah.
We are family.
We are family at this point, so
Yes.
It's always great to have you back and to talk about the incredible work that you're doing. For our viewers who this may be the first time they're learning about the organization, tell us a little bit more about what inspired the mission.
So Uptown and Boogie originally started as a bicycle organization in 2017. We led over 50 plus social bike rides within Upper Manhattan and the Bronx. When we approached the pandemic, we had a lot of cyclists who addressed about food insecurity, just accessing food. Many of our bike rides did lead at farmers markets, and that was addressed very frequently during our rides, and we would always try to introduce different types of fruits and vegetables during the ride. And when we felt to address this was to start with a community-supported agriculture program, and that would allow a group of people to basically come together and pay a farmer to grow their food. And that's how we started in 2021. And we received a great response from the Bronx Pelham Parkway area, which is where we started, also in Central Harlem, and that allowed us to transition to a nonprofit and shift to agriculture from that point on in 2022.
Yeah, now of course you talk about the shift even,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
and so to see where it started to how it is now, what has that evolution of this organization and its impact in the community been like?
Oh, it's been great. It's been a journey. We started out as more of a farm stand, and that allowed people to come and buy individual types of produce. That allowed me to have conversations with people, address people's concerns, introduce new ingredients to the community, or those ingredients that represent the community at the same time. And it's been a great experience, just like working with various ages also. When we transitioned to the farmers market, we introduced Kids Club at the market. Okay. And that allowed us to address kids from the age of 4 to 13. And why we pick 4 is because it's the year before a child ages out of WIC, which is women, infant, and children. Yeah. And we made it an important factor within our markets and in our programs to accept nutritional benefit programs. We accept SNAP, EBT, WIC, FMNP, Farmers Market Nutrition Benefit Programs. We also do the senior discount, which is the OTC network. So we try to make food as accessible as possible, and just trying to get more fresh food. We have such a warm response from the community that allows us to bring in more farmers. So we have farmers that are at our markets, our main farmers, and then we also have farmers within our network that supports our stand and CSA initiatives.
Definitely. And I mean, so many initiatives right there, but you also talk about the range of services that you offer for just as diverse ages, even in our own community. One that I love that you just mentioned was the Kids Club at the market.
Yes.
You know, you talk about this importance of early education into these kind of topics. Talk to me about how they receive it. How are they, what is their reception to kind of being introduced to these topics early on?
Oh, I love my babies. So we first started at Bronx Park East Farmers Market, which is in front of Brady Playground. And we started noticing a lot of parents would come and shop and play at the playground. And when I noticed that, we also saw an increase of WIC recipients also as we address food insecurity as access of time. So our markets are weekends in the morning. And we found that in the Bronx, Sunday worked very well for many people. Seeing that influx of families using that Sunday to shop, we decided to create an initiative where every kid receives $2 to shop at the market. So that allows kids to just understand how to participate in the purchasing of their produce, learning money management, also interacting with the farmer, so they have to hand the money to the farmer. And this initiative also helps the farmer receive additional funding at the market.
Wow,
And so,
really important work
yeah.
right there. Yeah, even that connection, obviously, for one, the kids to see, and like you mentioned, that monetary kind of use, which $2 nowadays can go very far, very short. We got to learn how to budget that.
Yes.
But even like you mentioned, this partnership with the vendors and what they can get out of it. I mean, something that you talk about when you mention initiatives is also the community-supported agriculture program.
Yes.
Talk to me about how this also kind of engages the community to participate.
Well, as we see with the prices of groceries, we want to address that this is a stable way not only to have a sustainable cost to your food, but also supporting a local farmer so you know where your produce is coming from. We work with small farmers, which is usually farmers who are upstate New York in the Hudson Valley or a little bit above Hudson Valley that are under 40 acres. So they are like small to medium farmers. And that allowed us to reach out to different farmers to get different kind of crops, because there's some farmers that specialize in different, maybe we might have a farmer that's great on carrots, another farmer that gets okra, another farmer that gives callaloo, like, you know, all of what we see is an ask in the neighborhood that's not readily available or not really seen at the markets. So that allowed us to basically educate the journey of food too. Like it's just picked on Wednesday. Sometime our farmers will send us pictures of showing them harvesting the produce that they're bringing to the market. On average, at the farmers market, about 2,000 pounds is brought in of food per week, and at the farm stand, we range about 3 to 4. 100 pounds of food per week. So we bring all that produce, and it does get all sold. I make sure that is. Food that is not sold, if it's spoiled or anything went wrong, at our garden and at our programs, we have composting. So we make sure we're not like just throwing food in the landfill, but we're actually processing it in a more organic way. And then others that are still good but remaining, we work with like community fridges, and we'll just leave the produce at the fridge. Or if someone walks by sometime, I say, hey, you want this last remaining carrot? And that initiative of just having that fresh food, knowing how to keep your food fresh. So having that conversation with people. And this year, we're working on a dashboard, which is, so just to give you, I have a background in computer science, and we have wonderful interns who are working and putting an initiative together to create that communication with our members. So we have a dashboard where we're now planning on putting recipes weekly that matches the produce they're going to have, making their payments easy, and also just remaining engaging and providing that communication where we share some information, some alerts, maybe some awareness about what's going on with the USDA and the agriculture industry, and just keeping people into the loop.
That's incredible, obviously, of having like a little hub where everyone can kind of go to. When does that dashboard, or when are you thinking of rolling it out? Maybe we can get an early.
It's rolled out. It's already rolled out. If you go to our website at ubhp.org/CSA, there you'll receive all the information. You can have weekly box. You could purchase as a full season, which is 22 weeks, bi-weekly, which is 11 weeks, or if you are a SNAP recipient or EBT, you can join in weekly into the program. You just sign up, come pick up your produce in Harlem or the Bronx. What makes our Harlem location unique is that it's an evening, so it's an after-work crowd. We have a beautiful traffic along St. Nicholas Avenue between 126 and 127th Street. And that is a central location where people just come, walk up, and get their produce. And also it makes it accessible because it's after work. Getting that last meal, or maybe you didn't catch the market on the weekend or early in the morning. Now you get access to it also in the evening.
Wow, definitely have to book my schedule to definitely stop
Yes.
by. I mean, with that, today is also Earth Day. So talk to
Yes.
me about how obviously a day like today is important for the organization and initiatives that you have done around Earth Day as well.
Oh, for Earth Day, we address our composting that we will teach about vermicompost. We have worms, and so we are excited that to announce our reopening of our greenhouse. So at our community garden, St. Nicholas Miracle Garden, we built a greenhouse that now will be fully year-round, where we provide seedlings and education on how to grow from seed to seedling to production. So many times people see the final product, but not really like what the seed looked like, the journey of the seed, how it is important to have the right kind of soil mix and nurturing and allowing it to grow, what's shaded, what's not in shade, and just getting that education. So we want to teach how to kind of grow your food at home and how food is grown from the beginning. And we are going to have a seedling distribution also as we are growing in the greenhouse. Our greenhouse now has like power source so that we can regulate heat. We're bringing in a rain catching system that will allow us to use the rainwater to irrigate the seedlings. So we will teach about the sustainability initiatives that we have at the garden. And also at the farmers market, we do textile recycling. Last year, we did we collected 17,000 pounds of textile between our farmers markets. And that also we address about like just upcycling or the way we should discard any unused or unwanted clothing. In addition to our kids club, we had kids participate in the composting. So the kids themselves, between June to November, dropped off 1,000 pounds of food scraps.
Wow.
So we are going to address all of this within our Earth Day event, which is happening later this afternoon in Harlem from 10 to 3 p.m. We also have a wonderful opportunity to table with Bronx River Alliance on April 26th. So you'll see us there too, where we will work with Bronx River Alliance, and they also grow outdoors. They have a foodway, so it's a great way to kind of merge what we do.
Definitely, and to stay busy, obviously, this April as well, to kind of give back, learn about, obviously, these important topics in our community. I mean, with that, Judi, you gave us so many gems that we obviously can look forward to.
Thank you.
So thank you so much. I appreciate it, okay?
I appreciate it.
And of course, if you want to learn more about these initiatives, please be sure to visit their website at ubhp.org. Stay tuned. We have more open for you right after this.
19.7% of Bronxites currently experience food insecurity. Meanwhile, instead of these nice, colorful foods, this is the best food that they have access to. If this sounds like you, there are a bunch of resources to get healthy food for free or cheap. If you want to help, you might consider donating or volunteering in one of these places. Community fridges like this one are all over the city, and allow New Yorkers to conveniently donate extra food to people who might need it. Go to this link and find your nearest one. Food banks and pop-up events like these provide millions of healthy meals to families in need. These organizations are distributing meals to Bronxites as we speak, and are always accepting donations and volunteers.
Welcome back. We would like to take this time to look back at an interview with Daniel Diaz, the Executive Director of Eastside House, who shared more information about their mission to serve the community through education and job opportunities.
Now, I kind of gave a little bit of like a run through of the history of the organization, but can you just explain, what inspired the founding of Eastside House Settlement and how has its mission evolved over 130 years?
Well, Eastside House was founded as a settlement house, and most settlement houses started in the 1800s. And so ours started in 1891, and the founding was to help the community members, the people that lived in the community who needed help with education and workforce. And over 133 years, we've been doing just that. And so today, our mission is just as strong as it was 133 years ago. Although it's not in the Upper East Side of Manhattan, it's in the South Bronx, we still kept the name of Eastside House. And our services really focus on the two things, education and workforce. We believe that those two things are the legs that are going to help our community members and our families walk and even run sometimes into the economic mainstream.
Now, I think this is really interesting. I don't really hear often about a lot of organizations that kind of move and relocate, but I think it kind of further proves this idea of like really going where the organization is needed, and that was in the South Bronx. Can you just explain what impact that has had so far on the community that it's now serving?
Well, when we moved to the South Bronx in 1963, it was a very courageous decision by the board. Many organizations will stay and try to stick it out where they are. The board in 1963 decided, we're going to go to the South Bronx. It was literally burning at that time, and trying to figure out, can our services be better utilized in other places? And the South Bronx is where we started in 1963, and the families and the community members that we serve there we're just as open to the idea of having a company come in and wrap our services around a full community. So our youngest participant is 18 months, and our oldest participant is 102. And so we serve from twinkle to wrinkle. And in all the areas that you could possibly think of within education and workforce. So we can have great grandma in our older adult congregate meal center, and we can have great grandchild in our early childhood center. But all together, we make sure that all of our services are really affecting the families for change.
Now, I definitely want to go into a little bit more about those services. I understand there are educational services and career services. Can you explain a little bit more about the mission of those services and how they help the community?
Sure, we believe that education and workforce are just like I said, those two legs, but it's also one without the other is not even worth it, right? So why do you go to school? You go to school to get a good job. And so we try to make sure that all of our programs for our young people have a career path at the end of it. And that career path could have a living wage where they would not have to utilize public assistance or anything like that. And so we have 29 locations. Our locations are school programs. They're located in the high schools, elementary schools, middle schools, and we also have community centers as well. And those centers work for people that they can come from in school, out of school, in the neighborhood, in the community. And so all of our education programs, we believe, are cutting edge because they're all attached to an employer. The employer works with us to figure out what the skills are that the students and the families need in order to get the job in the future.
Now, how does Eastside House maintain its partnerships with local schools, especially, the New York City Department of Education? How does it maintain that partnership, and what does it look like for those students involved?
So we're being recorded. I'm not going to say a couple things.
Okay.
But I will say that we maintain our partnerships really well because the principals that we partner with and the community members that we work with on these things really help to set the stage for us. And so schools cannot do it all on their own. They're teaching to the test, if you will, sometimes. A lot of the students have other needs that are not necessarily being addressed in their school. Some guidance counselors have 150, 200 people on their caseload. Eastside House brings in full-time staff members, advisors, student counselors to work with the families, to work with the young people in their schools. So this way, attendance, college goals, employment goals, all of those things could be focused on by Eastside House, and the schools can really work on educating the young person.
Now, I want to mention again, it's been 130 plus years of service, which is amazing because that's longer than any of us have ever been alive. But, I'm curious to know, what are some of the key achievements or milestones the organization has seen over those 130 plus years?
We have seen so many, from young people growing up in our early childhood programs to now them running some of the programs at Eastside House. From when I started Eastside House 20 years ago, I know it was 20 years ago, we had a graduating class of about 75, 80 students. This past year, we graduated 1,200 students from our high school programs. Of those young people, 800 of them received jobs. And so thinking about moving things and moving young people and their families into the economic mainstream, we are trying to get that to where 1,200 kids, all of them have jobs at the end. And they could choose at that point whether to go to college, whether to go to school, whether to do both. You can do it all at Eastside House.
That's amazing. Now, in what ways does Eastside House engage with the community to ensure that its program meets the needs of those it serves? So, what does feedback look like, or how you are getting that feedback?
We have a lot of groups. We have young people groups in our community centers that they're advisory councils, if you will. We also have those groups in the school-based programs. We have those groups in our older adult centers. So even our senior citizens or older adults, they let us know exactly what they need or what they want. And we try to work with each one of them to make sure that those needs are met.
Now, how does teamwork and empathy play a part in the culture of Eastside House?
It plays a big part because many of our family members and are very similar to our people that work with us. I'm from the Bronx. I'm running Eastside House in the Bronx. And so a lot of the people that are there are from the community as well. And so a lot of them have endured things that are the people that we serve endure as well. So that empathy is there no matter what, because they know what they're dealing with. They know that the same crack curb that was there when they were 15, 16 years old and they tripped on, somebody else is tripping on now. So let's work together to try to fix that crack that somebody else didn't fix so many years ago.
And I also want to highlight that the organization is now serving more than 18,000 children and families annually, which is a lot of people. Can you talk about the impact that it's having on those 18,000 people annually?
So every single person that we touch, it's education workforce, even if it's in our older adult centers. We want to make sure that our older adults have a chance. Some of them need to go back to work. Our young ones, they're getting training and trying to figure out what they would like to be when they grow up. And then our high school age youth, which we serve about 6,500 of those a day, they are getting the intense services of making sure that they're getting placed in the right settings. So if you want to be in the healthcare industry, we're going to make sure that you have a great partner with a great hospital that can get you a job at the end of it. If you don't want to do blood and guts and you want to do something else, we can get you into something else, whether you want to be in the construction industry, you want to go to OSHA 30, OSHA 10 classes, all of the different things that you could possibly think of to build stackable credentials to then get people employed.
Now, there's so many different areas of the community that you're serving. How do you manage or, kind of take the time to focus on what each group needs and ensure that they're getting the most out of that?
We have an awesome team at Eastside House, and our team has been here a long time. I just mentioned to you before, I was there 20 years. The head of my programs, all of our programs, she's been with me 17 years. The head of my early childhood programs, 10 years. So we have a lot of people with decades-long service in the community. And that team helps to really galvanize and get the support that they need in order to make sure that every single person that comes in contact with Eastside House gets the services that they need and they desire. So for instance, one of the newest things that we're going to be opening up next August is our new charter school. This charter school came out of the need that we found from our community members. So we were finding at some point that over 70% of the people that were going into college were not finishing college. And that was embarrassing. And so we were saying a lot of people were leaving college and they had demoralized goals, they had debt, they weren't things that were building to something positive. And so we said, what can we put in their back pocket? And so one of those things was a certification and also a job. And so we are now building a charter school that is fully career technical education within the healthcare industry and partnering with New York Presbyterian Hospital. And so that when our young people cross the stage, they have a diploma in the left hand and a job offer in the right.
That's amazing. And I understand that you're also kind of working with our youngest educators. Can you tell me a little bit more about the Early Childhood Center that's going to be happening really soon?
We just cut the ribbon on the Eugene G. Oliver Jr. Education Center in Concourse Village. That is a center that's going to serve the early childhood ages of 18 months to 4 years old. And the difference in this one is we're going to focus on children with special needs. There's a huge need in the Bronx for programs to work with children with special needs. We believe that the advocacy that's necessary for a family member to, I don't want to say fight, but work with the city in order to get their child the OT, the speech, the PT, all of those pieces that they need can sometimes take 9 to 12 months, and we're trying to shorten that time. And the Honorable Eugene G. Oliver Jr. Center will do just that.
That's amazing. Can you expand a little bit more on just the idea that it's going to be focusing on children with special needs? Because I do think that here in the Bronx, we're already facing so many challenges. And on top of that, for parents, that can be an extra challenge. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Well, in our other early childhood centers, we have 4 other centers. We were seeing that about 30% of the kids that were coming in had special needs. They needed something. They needed speech. They needed OT. They needed recall. They needed muscle movements in their mouths and PT. And so we did not have a lot of those services at those centers. And we said we have to create something that specifically addresses those needs. And so families were asking for it as well, because they were in shock as to how long it took to get these services from early intervention and then from the Department of Education. And so we decided that we were going to take up that challenge, roll up our sleeves, if you will, and you know, pick up bigger boxing gloves to help the parents fight the fight for their children.
Now, how can individuals or organizations get involved with Eastside House to support its mission and services?
Well, you can definitely go on our website at eastsidehouse.org. You can, if your child is in need and you think that the charter school was something that you wanted your child to be involved in, our first 9th grade class is going to start next August. So if your child's in 8th grade, our school could be for you. If you're in need of employment services, go to our website. We have all of the numbers there. If you call and you ask for the specific programs that are listed on our website, somebody will get back in touch with you right away.
Well, Danny, thank you so much for joining us and having this conversation. And I also want to say congratulations on 20 years. That's pretty amazing on the work that you're doing in the community.
My hairline looked a lot different 20 years ago, I'll tell you that. But thank
well,
you.
yeah, I want to thank you so much for that. To learn more about this organization's efforts, please go to their website at eastsidehouse.org.
We would like to thank the team at Eastside House who helped organize this interview. We have to take a quick break. We'll be back with more Open after this.
What's up, creative family? Discover your voice with BronxNet community media classes. Are you ready to bring your ideas to life? At BronxNet, we offer television production classes for community members ages 18 and over, empowering you to share your vision with the world. Get certified in field production, in-studio production, and our new exciting addition, podcast production. Once certified, you can create your own show to air on one of our 6 TV channels. It all starts with our free Unleash Your Ideas Masterclass, designed to help you plan your show idea and set you up for success on your production journey. This class is offered at the beginning of each month for your convenience. Our dedicated BronxNet team is here to support, encourage, and uplift you every step of the way. Join us and become a part of the creative force that engages and inspires the Bronx community and beyond. Sign up today and start your media journey with BronxNet. Visit bronxnet.org/education to learn more and register. Let's create something amazing together.
Welcome back. Sledge House Media has just released a new children's book, A Day at Shea, which is more than just a children's book. It's a celebration of family, tradition, and the magic of baseball. The story is told through the eyes of a young African-American girl experiencing her very first game at the legendary Shea Stadium. Joining me now is the co-author of A Day at Shea, and she is also CEO of the Sledge House Media, Christina Sledge. Welcome, Christina.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. Obviously, an exciting time. You've really released A Day at Shea and now re-released an audiobook. So it's an exciting time. We'll get into all that. But to our viewers, give me a quick overview about what inspired this beautiful story.
Oh, well, it's based on a true story. It's based on my husband's true story of going to Shea Stadium by himself at 9 years old. He took a Frosted Flakes cereal box, free coupon ticket, and took himself to his bodega. He cashed in bottles so he could get enough money to get on the subway from Brooklyn to Queens. And he got on there, and then he was able to go to the game and see Doc Gooden and Darryl Strawberry play. So I just thought it was such a heartwarming story. And I said, you know what, we need to change this and make it into a children's book. And it was actually his idea to make the character a girl.
Yeah, and talk to me about obviously having that idea. How is that important, obviously, in just inspiring other young girls as well to see themselves in sports?
Absolutely. So what we wanted to do was really show girls, our children, we have 2 girls, and so my husband's a girl's dad, and he always take them to baseball games. I grew up going to Shea Stadium, going to see the Yankees here in the Bronx, you know, play. And so we wanted to just bring that magic to life and show girls that they could be in the game too, and they could enjoy the sport. And it was important to show a girl of color so that she could also say, okay, it's great for me to be a fan, but I could play the game too. So that was why it was important.
Yeah, now of course, even in the media, we're seeing it now, obviously that rise of women in sports. And not even a rise, it's always been there, but just being more highlighted now. How would you say this book kind of it becomes an entry point for people to have these conversations and for young girls to see themselves even in a sport like baseball or other male-dominated sports?
Absolutely. Women's sports is having a movement, a moment right now all over. This is great because right now, we're seeing more women playing the sport of baseball. I think, you know, Monet Davis was a really good example of a girl playing Little League sports and just killed it. And so we want to really continue to share those stories and show those stories. And that's what Sledge House Media does with this book, is to really continue to show those stories of girls in the sport of baseball and in all sports, that you can do it. You can actually get on the field and be in the game.
Yeah, now of course, another important themes that we see come up in the book are about family, tradition. Talk to me about how these kind of themes pop up in the book and why it was important to include those as well.
Absolutely. Again, like we have 2 girls, so my husband just recently, this past weekend, he took them to a game, and you know, and so we wanted to also highlight that and the importance of how this game, sport of baseball, can be something that families can enjoy. And so having the book, reading the book, bringing that back to life and say, you know what, maybe I might want to go to my first baseball game and take the whole family there. And so that was important to show as well.
Yeah, now of course we mentioned earlier, this book has been out, but now you've released an audio version. There's also other interactive ways for people to enjoy the fun of A Day at Shea. Talk to me about how people can kind of enjoy and kind of revitalize this book into their own lives.
Oh, absolutely. So yes, we're very excited. The audiobook just came out a few weeks ago. And so that is a way for us to meet children where they are, because so many children learn in different ways. And so we want to make it very inclusive. Or, you know, if you're vision impaired, you can listen to the book. And so it's great to have that immersive opportunity. And then we also have a coloring book where children can learn the story and rewrite the story. And there's activity pages in there so they can experience the story creatively as well.
Yeah, now of course having these different forums for people to kind of interact with the book, and even seeing the reviews that have been coming in from parents, from children. How has that been for you and your husband to hear that and inspiring other people as well?
It is just heartwarming. It is really touching because that was the point of us doing this. We really wanted to show that there are ways that families can really interact with these stories and understand them. Because one of the things we do at Sledge House Media is we want to be inclusive. And we want to be culturally relevant and help people see that our stories are everywhere and they mean so much to so many different people. And so that's why it was important to make sure that we show that. And we love to hear when girls come up to us and say, oh my gosh, she's a girl. It's so cool to see a girl playing baseball and going to a game, and so that was important. So we love to hear those stories from parents and children.
Yeah,
Yeah.
obviously we talk about the reviews coming in, how people have been receptive to even the
Yeah.
book. Now you have an audio book, the coloring book. When people kind of interact with these different formats, what do you hope that outcome is or their experiences with A Day at Shea?
Really, that we all have multiple layers of interest, and so you can not only read the book, but now you can be a part of it. And so that was really the point of continuing to show these stories. And we have other books coming out too, where we'll continue to share different versions of sports, interacting with sports, being a part of different professions and different fields. And so that was also something we wanted to continue to do with our storytelling.
Yeah, now
Yeah.
of course, we've mentioned a few different
Yeah.
kind of releases that now the book kind of takes form in, but there's also a new language being added. I heard there's also a
Yes.
Spanish version. Talk to me about obviously expanding that catalog and having it in Spanish now.
Oh my gosh, we're so excited about that because my family is from Panama. And so we wanted to make sure that the story was inclusive and all families can see themselves in this story, share it so it's bilingual, so that you can speak Spanish, say it in Spanish to the children, and everyone can learn about the story of baseball and Chris's story and just being a part of it. So that was very important for us to have been. This is our first Spanish language book, so we're gonna do more of those. So it's just groundbreaking for us, and we're so excited to share it that way.
Yeah, and I'm excited. People will obviously get to experience the book now in Spanish, like you mentioned, being Peruvian. It's beautiful
Yeah.
for our Latinos, families to
Yes.
also get a chance to experience the book. But the big theme here is baseball, and there is a big
Yeah.
event coming up on May 24th. Talk to me about what fans can experience and look forward to.
Oh my gosh, that's so magical. So we talked about my husband Eddie. He went to a Shea Stadium game by himself, right? So now, the home of the Mets is Citi Field.
Yeah.
So this game is going to be May 24th, it's Saturday, it's Memorial Day weekend, and we'll actually have a day at Shea honored on the field. So it's like a full circle moment. We get to go back. I remember going to Shea Stadium. So now we'll have our family, friends there will be honored on the field with the home plate ceremony, and my husband will be honored with Veteran of the Game, which is so cool. So it's like just a full circle moment
Yeah.
coming back. And then fans get to experience something very special, which is they get to, if they purchase a ticket, they get to come to the game with us and be on the field with us if they win the raffle ticket. So that's super cool for anyone who wants to join us at the game.
Like you mentioned,
Yeah.
they get their own day at Shea,
Right.
which is beautiful. How did this partnership kind of come about, and why was it
Yeah.
important? I mean, I'm sure your husband is kind of thrilled to now be out on the
Oh,
field.
yes,
But how does
yes.
something like this kind of come about?
Oh, wow. Well, it started last year. We actually had a Day at Shea Day at the Brooklyn Cyclones Maimonides Park, which is in Coney Island. So it started there. So our partnership with the Mets organization started with their minor league team last year. And so now we're able to do something with the Mets at Citi Field. So that's how we're able to just bring it full circle again.
Yeah. Now, of course, I'm sure people are listening and being like, wait, I want to participate. You mentioned they have
Yeah.
to buy a ticket.
Yes.
But talk to me a little bit more about more details. Where can they go? How can they get access to this opportunity?
Sure, absolutely. You can go to our website, our shop, which is sledgehouse.mediastore.com, and you can purchase tickets to the game. It's a full discount, well, it's a half price discount. The tickets are normally about $185. We're selling them for $85, so it makes it a lot more accessible. And so if you go there, buy a ticket, you're instantly entered into our raffle. We'll have a live drawing on Zoom, and so you'll find out who will be on the field with us on May 24th.
How exciting.
Yeah, very exciting.
I mean, with that, obviously, the story, being a co-author on it, hearing your husband's story, how does that feel for you to kind of now see this book growing in its obviously reach, but getting to make an impact in a sense for other families and potentially being their own first day at Shea? How does that feel for you?
It's magical. It's one of those things that you never thought would happen. I know I just had a conversation with my husband, and I said, "Did you ever think this could happen?" And so I think it's just a matter of now we're just bringing forth this legacy, honoring him, our family, girls in sports. So it's just a magical, unbelievable experience we get to actually experience.
Yeah. Now, earlier you also mentioned how obviously A Day at Shea kind of kicks off this initiative within Sledge House Media.
Yeah.
How is this kind of the best way to introduce these up-and-coming books that you are hoping to release or other initiatives you're working on?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, absolutely. This is our first, this was our debut children's book. So to have it kick off in this way is just like, wow, it's a big bang. But then now it's opening the door for us to do other children's books. And then later in this fall, we will have another children's book that's related to a girl and a profession. So stay tuned for that. Follow us on Sledge House Media and on our platforms and on our website.
Yeah, we will definitely stay tuned. I
Yeah.
mean, with that as well, for our parents and maybe young readers who haven't had a chance to experience A Day at Shea just yet, what would you tell them and where can they also access the book?
Yes, please. Everyone who reads it loves it. It's just a great experience. Get the coloring book too, so you can color along with it. You can come to our website at sledgehousemedia.com. You can also find our books on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target, everywhere books are sold. And you can follow us on social media at Sledge House Media to join us. But then for the game, you go to sledgehouse.mediastore.com. Tickets are on sale until May 1st.
Wow, until May 1st, so definitely
Yeah.
get those tickets.
Yes.
I mean, obviously we talked about the impact, the cultural impact that, but also inspiring young girls, you know, as the conversation also continues about women in sports. How important is it to continue to have these conversations and to be able to have kind of these showcases of them in any industry, you'd say?
Oh, it's paramount. We definitely have to continue to highlight all the work and the wonderful groundbreaking things that women are doing. I mean, we're seeing women, we had our first all-women crew go into space, right? So it's so cool to be able to continue to show and highlight and show girls that they can do anything. And so that's me as a woman. I've been in the tech field, the media space, so I want to be able to show women and young girls that they can do anything they set their hearts to.
Yeah, they can see themselves as a CEO, you know, co-author at that as well. So with that, I mean, Christina, thank you so much for even just bringing that light and inspiration to our studios. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Thank
now, of
you.
course, thank you so much again, Christina. We've come to the end of our show, but if you want to obviously stay tuned, thank you again to our guests for joining us today. I'd like to thank them. Also, our viewers, of course, for tuning in. Now, if you've missed any part of today's show, you can catch the re-cablecast at 5 and 8 p.m. tonight on Optimum Channel 67 and Verizon Fios 33, or watch anytime on the web at BronxNet.org. You can catch a brand new episode of Open with Darren Jaime on Wednesday and with Rina Valentin on Friday. I'm Jonathan Calixto. Stay informed, stay inspired, and stay safe. Until next time.